Hi everyone, it's Holly Marie King, and we are back with the Emblem Knights final draft. We're on chapter 14. Hooray! It hasn't even gotten to the really good stuff yet. We're still at the house. I mean, it's us. It's, you know, the grandpa just died. That's right. I forgot that the grandpa just died, so that's kind of exciting. So we saw a different way that I wrote it, which I think is pretty darn good. I moved my camera slightly, so now you see that part. This is my co-chair for anyone that wants to come sit with me while I record. Anyway, sorry, I distracted myself. But yeah, so I guess we can just get started with the final draft. As always, I'll put it in the description below where you can buy the book, or if you want to read it yourself without paying for it, because, you know, I love sharing my things. It will be on my Wattpad, which will also be in the description below, to where you can look at it if you'd like that way. I did decide, however, when I do the sequel to Not a Dream, I know this isn't Not a Dream. My other book that's already on the channel, Not a Dream. I am not putting Trouncing the Unknown in my Wattpad, so you'll have to buy it. I'll still read it here. Might be a little while though. I'm only like halfway through it. Editing. I hate it. So much not fun. Anyway, let's stop getting ourselves distracted. We're gonna read it and we're gonna get through this and we're gonna fun because it's a fun book. I love my Emblem Knights book. I want to be further in though because it's the middle that's really good. So it's like, I mean, this is all setting up for what they're doing, but still, middle is where it gets real good and changes and everything's fun and awesome and I can't wait. So let's get through chapter 14 so we can start the traveling process and see how much the story has changed. Because the beginning part is kind of similar. I did change it a bit, but not a lot. Anyway, chapter 14, preparing for battle. The table was quiet in the kitchen, for everyone knew that it was getting close to the time when they would have to leave. Well, this is awkward. Murphy was the first to speak. He attempted to make a joke, but no one laughed. Tough crowd. He walked over to where the fresh fruit was hanging and took an apple out of the basket. He began to eat it. This isn't time for jokes, John said solemnly. Murphy lowered his apple. Oh, I'm sorry, he said crossly. Who has been still fighting the senior advisor since we were allowed to retire from our life of servitude? You? He looked John in the eye, challenging him. No? Then I don't think you have the right to gauge when we can joke or be serious. Stop it, Ray ordered in a quiet voice. It was enough to appease the room. He sighed, rubbing his temples in frustration. I would like to stay here and wait until Yuri is fully recovered. But we are sitting ducks just waiting here. I think we are all losing more sleep than we are resting, and if we do end up getting attacked, all of us will soon be useless unless we change something. I think it would be best to get packed up and ready to go and just hope that Yuri can recover while on the road. Is that wise? Daisuke asked, looking at John. Wouldn't that do more damage? I think that it will be just fine, John said. She is already up and walking around. Even if it's not well, she is making fine progress, and I believe she is well enough to travel. Wait, Yuri said, sitting across from Ray at the table. Didn't Jack kill the senior advisor? No, Alex answered her from behind. He was standing at the back of her chair in case she needed anything. It was only a carbon copy, unfortunately. The real coward just stays holed up in his home, watching everything from afar. Roy growled from the counter. On the bar stool, he was a ray of sunshine that morning. Coward is putting it lightly, he grumbled. Ray ignored his brother and turned towards Daisuke on his right. How fast do you think we can get all the weapons off of the wall in the living room and ready to go? I can them all down in a day, but it will take me a day or two to clean and repair them, Daisuke said to him. Roy, Ray made eye contact with his brother. I need you to help clean, polish, and repair all the weapons, he ordered. Roy got up from the stool and went into the living room, needing no further instruction. I needed it done yesterday. We'll work as quickly as we can, Daisuke said, leaving the table, needing no further instruction. Did you hear that, John? You have a day or two to get some medical herbs ready so we can have a supply ready in case we need to heal minor wounds along the way. Ray ordered John, who was sitting next to Yuri. Joey was sitting on his lap. The two had become good friends. Already started, Captain, John said with a nod. Joey and I gathered them whenever we were training. Well, then be sure to make sure that you finish what you have left to do as quickly as possible, Ray said with an approving nod. I want the main focus to be on getting those weapons prepped. Yes, sir, John said, taking Joey with him as they left to go complete their work. Murphy, I need you getting the supplies packed and ready to go, Ray said, looking at Mr. Funny Man. I want to make sure everyone has everything they could possibly need in their packs. Murphy saluted as he left the kitchen. Aye, aye, Captain, he said, and was out of view. I want you two to get washing the clothes and get them sewn and ready to go before you do anything else, Ray said to Yuri and Alex. Yuri opened her mouth to protest, but Alex squeezed her shoulder to silence her. I'll be helping Murphy if anyone needs me. But I can help with weapons, Yuri blurted out before Ray could walk away. Alex shook his head. Ray gave Yuri a look she had not seen before, and it scared her a little bit. I gave you your orders. That is what you will be doing unless I say otherwise, he informed her. He looked Alex in the eye, and the young man just shrugged. Alex helped Yuri to her feet. Come on, we have a lot of work to do, he said as he led the way out the front door. Yuri sighed and followed him, with no one to help him. The big pile of laundry was sitting in the front of a wash basin, just ready to be started. There was a second pile of clothing needed next to a needle and thread, ready to be mended. Can you sew? Not really. I never learned, Yuri admitted to him. So you wash also, then? Alex asked her. Sounds reasonable, Yuri said, sitting down next to the wash basin that was already full of water. She grabbed the first piece of clothing, and with a long sigh, she started to wash the clothes. Oh! She jumped with her hand when her hands hit the water. What's wrong? Alex asked as he had one eye closed as he looked at the small loophole in the end of the needle as he put the thread through. Huh? Yuri looked over at him. Oh, I was just surprised that the water was warm. Alex snorted. Well, of course it's warm. You need warm water and soap to get things clean, he said, finally threading the needle with the string. Yuri rolled her eyes as she grabbed the soap and the water and started to wash the first piece of clothing. Suddenly, Alex was behind her. That's not how you do it. Yuri sighed in frustration. Then why don't you do it, Mr. Genius? She said irritably. Alex smirked at her irritation and grabbed her hand with the soap and her other hand with the shirt she was washing. You don't have to submerge the soap in the water. You get some soap on the shirt and scrub the dirty spots out, he explained as he helped her get the soap rubbed into the clothes so that the shirt was full of soap. And then you just rinse the clothing off in the washing basin until there is no more soap in the clothing. Alex let go of her to go back to sewing clothes up. How do you know so much about washing and sewing clothes? I always thought that was something only women knew how to do, Yuri said as she started washing the clothes the way Alex had taught her to do it. Well, no one would do the washing and sewing for me, Alex started. Yuri felt a pang of regret for even asking. And we traveled a lot, being fighters and whatnot. You get a hole in your only pair of pants and you better know how to fix it or you'll have a very unpleasant bruise. He looked at the clothes while he worked, concentrating on getting done quickly. But we also had to be able to sew for when Ray had a deep cut. Well, so we all had to learn in case of an emergency. Oh, I see, Yuri said, feeling a lump in her throat. So, do tell. Alex started in a mocking tone. Why are you so bad at washing and sewing clothing? Yuri didn't answer at first. She concentrated on washing clothing. I just never really learned, she said, slowly thinking over her answer. When Mom was going to teach us how to do the laundry and sewing, we were too busy exploring. We? Alex asked her, intrigued by her answer. My sister and I, Yuri answered, sighing. We were more into the whole seeking adventure, while the other girls in town were more interested in getting prepped to be the proper wife. She scrubbed the pants in her hands, a little more thorough than the others. She frowned when she thought about her sister, Yuki. She spoke her sister's name for the first time in a long time. Yuki was quite the adventurer. She is the one that always stirred up trouble around town. Where is she now? Alex asked as Yuri tossed the pants she was washing into the clean pile. She died when we were 8, Yuri answered, sighing to herself. She quickly started to wash the other clothes in her pile before she lost track of where she was. My parents must have sent a letter somewhere or something. They took her away, and I've never seen her since. Alex didn't want to pry, but he was curious as to why her sister had been killed. Can I ask why? He asked after a small pause. Yuri thought for a moment. She had the ability of death, like Jack, she answered, picking up some more clothing so that she could keep her hands busy. So, you knew about them before Jack attacked your parents? Alex asked, even more curious about her He deftly tossed the shirt he had patched up onto the wash pile and picked up a pair of pants that had ripped knees, grabbed a patch for each knee, and began to fix the fabric up. Not really, Yuri admitted, hanging up the shirt she had been washing. I did see where her mark was, but I had no idea what it meant, she added. It had been when we were playing outside, and one of the little brats that hated us was trying to pick on us, so she stuck her tongue out at the girl. Somehow the girl noticed it on my sister's tongue, and of course I checked to make sure she wasn't lying. She sat back down to wash some more clothing. Sure enough, there it was on her tongue, clear as day. Of course I would have never said anything to anyone about it. I loved my sister. As it happens, though, grandfather had an emblem as well. Yuri sighed and looked at the clothes she was washing, feeling frustrated. He had the ability to detect emblems, is what Jack was telling me. I don't even know how many poor souls he sentenced to death. It wasn't your fault, Alex said to comfort her through the needle in his mouth while he made sure his handiwork was good before he turned to his next project. I have a feeling that maybe she would blame me, Yuri said, scrubbing the pants in her hands. She didn't, Alex said it without thinking. He fumbled with his needle for a moment, then he realized he slipped. And what makes you say that? Yuri asked. Her body was starting to tire from the constant moving up and down. I mean... Alex stuttered for a second and then paused in his words to steady himself. I just can see how you are, and I can only guess how your sister is. I'm sure she just blamed the other girl more than you. He got his needle back under control and finished hemming the pants that he had been working on. Yuri sighed as she bent back over the wash tub once again. I guess that's true. I never really liked that girl in the first place, she answered as she started washing a shirt. That sounded like it, Alex said. He was happy to have his little hiccup forgotten. There was one time she cut up all of Mrs. Dallin's flowers and blamed it on Yuki and I, Yuri said, shaking the shirt she was washing out before hanging it on the line. Yuki just turned right back to Mrs. Dallin and said, if Yuri and I destroyed your flowers, then why did Mr. Crumb say we did a good job cleaning this bar just a minute ago? The old woman turned red hot and paddled that pest's butt so hard that the girl couldn't sit for a week. Yuri laughed a little bit at the memory. Alex smiled at her reaction and then threw the last of the fixed clothing into the dirty pile. Done, he said to Yuri as he brushed the stray threads off of his pants before standing. What? Yuri looked over at his pile in shock. How can you have finished already? Ray knows the best places for his men, Alex said to her, joining her over at the wash basin. When we need to leave in a hurry, he always chooses the quickest guys for the job. I don't particularly like doing the laundry, but I'm quicker than everyone else. Usually we take turns, though. Yuri sighed, going back to the wash. Then why do I have to do the laundry, too? She whined, washing the pants that she had just picked up. Well, you are still pretty tired, Alex informed her, seeing her looking tired. I'll dry, you wash, and we'll get this done faster, he said as he took the wet clothes from her. It will be a day or two for you to heal, but Ray just doesn't need you getting more injuries before we leave on a long journey. Yuri sighed and looked out at the pile of laundry, knowing he was right. Yeah, she sighed again. The two were done twice as fast. They ate dinner with the others and then went out to the training yard to wait for the laundry to be ready to go in. They laid down looking up at the stars. It was a peaceful night and the sky was clear. Do you ever wish everything would have been different? She asked him and looked over at Alex. He laid on her right. She was wondering if the guys all regretted their lives. Alex didn't say anything at first, but watched the stars for a little bit. I just like to think about it as I got a head start in life, he said to her, not looking over at her. Most of the men my age are just now training for going to war. How old are you anyway? Yuri asked him. I'm 18, he said with a shrug. I was 3 when they took me from home. Don't you feel like you missed out on a lot? Yuri asked, feeling sorry for him. 3 was so young to have missed out on so much. She turned to him, propping herself up on his shoulder so she could look at him comfortably. Not really. Alex met her eyes. He also propped himself up on his elbow so he could look at her better. I mean, there are definitely childish things that I missed out on. The guys who were old enough to remember talked about games they played all the time. They sounded fun. But you can't miss out on things you never experienced. I have my friends, and we grew up together, but otherwise I feel everything worked itself out just fine. Yuri searched his eyes for her own answers, but decided there was nothing else she needed. Okay, she said, laying back down. What about you? Alex asked, curious what she was holding back. Yuri didn't look at him. She just laid there looking at the sky. I mean, my life is fine just the way it is at this moment in time. I don't regret meeting you guys, and I'm actually having fun with other human beings, but still. She looked at the black sky, staring down at her. It reminded her of the endless abyss in Jack's eyes. I still just wish that my parents and grandfather had been good people and had not sent my sister to her death. I miss her so much that it hurts me every time I look in a mirror. Alex was thoughtful about something, but shook it off. You miss her that much? It's really hard to describe the feeling, but losing your twin is like losing another part of you, Yuri said, feeling a little depressed, bringing it up now. It's hard for someone that doesn't have one to understand, but we've been together since the day we were born. No, Alex said slowly, not wanting to admit to anything, but Yuri looked over at him. I do understand. They lay there for a moment, but then he cleared his throat. We should go check on the laundry. I think they are dry by now. He helped Yuri to her feet and said no more about their conversation. Alright, that's the end of chapter 14. So the thing, I don't know if anyone's noticed. Well, you probably won't notice until a few chapters in. But the one apprehensive about being in a relationship together in the rough draft is Alex. But in this version, I switched it. So Yuri's the one that's going to be apprehensive about getting with Alex. Spoiler. I guess I should have said. But yeah, yeah, that's just a thing. You're doing that again, aren't you? You are. Okay, cool. My recorded thing made me nervous. I thought I just recorded that whole episode without anything because it just is 1 second. Okay. Anyway, if you like this video, please leave a like. If you know someone who would be interested in this type of content, please share it. If you want more of this content, I will be finishing this entire book and then reading my other books in the future. So yay, if anyone's interested. Please subscribe. It will be up every Monday, or at least every other Monday, until everything works itself out to where I can do it every Monday. Yes. Super cryptic, right? If you hated it, I don't know why you're still here. You can leave at any time. No one's forcing you to stay. Okay? Okay. And always, as always, I will put it in the description below. I know I mentioned it at the beginning of the video. I will mention it now as well. I will put where you can buy this book, where you can read this book, or my other channel, which is a gaming channel. So if you like gaming more than reading, I have that too. But yeah, anyway, hopefully I will see you guys next time. Bye!